So today we're going to go through the spillage test that you're going to be expected to do for both phase 4 and phase 6. I'm going to walk you through it. Now we do have a walkthrough available. It will be on your notes on Brightspace. This is just to accompany those notes for students. Some students have sometimes need a little bit more of guidance. That's what the purpose of this video is for. So I'm going to demonstrate to you what you're going to be expected to do on the day of your exam, as per the walkthrough. Okay, there'll be no curveballs thrown at you or anything like that. Anything that we're going to talk about is going to be on that walkthrough. So the examiner is going to be here to oversee your exam. Obviously, you can't give you any aid. Your mock exam, you'll be walked through it, but in the real exam, there'll be no assistance given to you, unfortunately. So on the day of the exam, you're going to walk through. We're going to say proceed. Proceed with your exam, please. And you're going to go, okay, I'm walking up to the house. I'm looking up at the chimney pot and I'm looking for birds' nests, bushes and cows. Cracks in the chimney work, missing brickwork, that kind of thing. Is it going to fall off the roof? So once you've done that, you're going to knock on the door. Me being the client, I'm going to say thanks for coming. Would you mind coming in here? That's the fire there, okay? Now what you're going to be doing is an Annex E, okay? This is all part of an Annex E safety check, okay? Now Annex E's are, and so it's very important, you know, there's what an Annex E over an Annex C. Now it's outlined the IS 813 for you. So an Annex C would normally be a service of an appliance, and Annex E is a safety check, okay? Now, it is important to do a safety check when you are readmitting gas to a property after a safety isolation or isolation for non-payment. If there's a new meter going in, or if you change a boiler, okay? If you're changing, well, a lot of people miss that one. If you change a boiler, you're required to do an Annex E on a property. Annex E is mostly visual. You'll be checking for isolation valves. You'll be looking for flame supervision devices on hobs, and you'll have to carry out a spillage test, okay? This is why this is important. So, you're brought into this fireplace here, okay? Now, before you do anything, you're going to carry out visual checks, as I said. You're looking up, and what are you looking for? You're looking for a permanent vent. Why is a permanent vent important with an open foot appliance? It's because you need to provide a constant source of combustion air, and also it stops any sort of harmful gases such as carbon monoxide or methane, which is natural gas or LPG, building up in the room, okay? In the event that there's a leak, you're not there to open windows and stuff like that. It stops it all building up to, hopefully, not to an explosive limit. Okay, so you're going to carry out your spillage test on this fire, all right? And so you're looking up, that's your vent. You're also looking for water vapor and carbon or soot, okay? Now carbon and soot being the same thing, but they're both products of incomplete combustion, which would equal the existence of presence of carbon monoxide in the room, which you don't want, okay? You're also looking up for an alarm, carbon monoxide alarm, which is very important, you know, with a room with open fluid appliance. You're then going to inspect the chimney for the flue. You make sure there's no cracks, no holes. No one's drilled a hole into the wall through the chimney pot in order to hang a family picture. And then you're going to make sure there's no dampers in place. Okay, now dampers are they're more inclined to find them in an old fireplace, an old cast or egg fireplace. They were doors essentially that would be pulled over in the event that the fire wasn't being used. That's top draft coming down, birds coming down, rain coming down, and all that kind of stuff. Make sure there's one there. If there is one there, it's locked in the open position, screwed to the back wall or removed entirely. Okay, so once you're happy with that visual check, you're going to check your gas line. So again, you're going to make sure that it's of the proper material, so copper or mild steel. You're going to make sure that everything is, or galvanized steel, should I say, and that it's perfectly fine, it's bracketed properly, it's not damaged, and it has an isolation valve. You're going to check that it's sleeved, okay, and that sleeve has to be sealed on the inside, no joints in that pipe work through the wall. Alright, so they're the things you're going to check. So once you're happy with that, then you still don't go into your spillage test just yet. You go upstairs, because according to IS 813, you must inspect every room that the flue passes through, which in this case would be the bedroom above. You go up again, you're looking for the same thing: water vapor, soot, and most importantly, a carbon monoxide alarm. Alright, so because as the IS 813 states, carbon monoxide alarm must be in every room that a flue passes through. So happy with that, you come back down to your room, you're getting ready to do your spillage test at long last, alright? You're looking for air consuming devices. Now, air consuming devices could be an extractor fan or it could be a hob. So in the event that there is an extractor fan or a hob, you're going to switch it on. Now I'm not going to tell you how many minutes to turn it on for, That's in your notes, it'll be spoken to you in class. You're going to shut all your windows and doors, okay? Ensure they're all closed. The thing about a spillage test when you're carrying out, you have to allow for the worst case scenario. In this case would be middle of winter, wind howling. You want your sitting room nice and snug. Shut windows and doors shut. You want everything on, everything nice and comfortable and cozy, alright? So, the reason why you put them on is because you want to make sure that there's enough ventilation to provide air for both of these when they're on at the same time. So you have this on, I'm not going to tell you how long the air settles for, and then you're going to go down to your fire. And you're going to light your fire, okay? Now, you might be asked to light the fire, you might not be asked to light the fire, okay? In the event that you are asked to light the fire, you just push this in, twist it a few times, and you'll see it catch and pilot there. You just hold it then for 30 seconds, or 10, and I have it preheated, so hopefully it'll come on. Yep, there you go, and then you let it go out, and then you twist it again, and the fire will light, okay? Now again, there's an outlined amount of time that you're supposed to have this on for, so you leave that on for that amount of time, okay? So once you're happy with that, you warm the flue, and the purpose of this is that you're going to warm the flue up and create what's known as convection currents. Increase the pull within the flue, okay? You're heating the flue up, the air of the flue, as it's less dense than cold air, is going to rise above the flue, and as a result pull cold air in through that vent and up the fire and create a cycle. Okay, so that's the purpose of this. So then you're going to switch that off, make sure it's off. Make sure it's off before you carry out your spillage test, okay? Now what is a spillage test? Spillage test says, as it's described, you try to make sure that the products of combustion are not spilling into the room. Okay, so you'll be asked then to get a smoke match, and you're going to proceed to put the smoke match 1 inch through the oak, all the way around, like this. Okay, and what you're looking for is that all the smoke gets pulled up, every last bit. If any smoke comes back into the room, it's a fail, okay? So in the first case that it fails, what do? You test again. So turn the fire back on for another few minutes, and turn it off again, test again. Now in the event that it spills back into the room again, that's a fail, okay? In the event that it fails, you have to do 3 things in order to isolate that appliance. I'm not going to tell you what they are, they're in the notes, so you need to know them for the day. There's also a cert that must accompany this, alright? Which number cert is it? And there's also an additional cert that gets attached to that cert in order to inform the owner, client, and the RTI that this appliance has been isolated for safety, alright? So again, you need to know the 3 things you must do with this fire in the event that it fails. And you need to know what 2 certs should I say. One cert is the main conformance cert, and the other one is the cert that accompanies that in the event of such a scenario, alright? Now, after that then, you might be saying, oh, look, all the smoke went up, you're happy out, there's no problems with spillage into this room. Okay, now before you can proceed then to sign the fire off, you must make sure and check next door, okay? Because again, like I said, it's worst case scenario at all times, that's right. You want to check in here, see there's no kitchen, make sure there's no extra kitchen or more consumer devices. It could be a stove, could be a solid fuel stove, okay? They're open fluid. In the event that they're there, they must be lit, left on, as they would be under worst case scenarios, Christmas dinner. Those doors will be wide open, all right? You must ensure that the windows and doors are closed in the extension or the extended kitchen, and all air consuming devices are on there again, and then carry out your test again, okay? Now the reason why you're doing this is that in the event that it spills, so imagine you've carried out your test in this room, it's perfect, nothing happens, all full, it flies into the chimney, you're happy out. You introduce that room and it starts to spill. That'll tell you that it's a ventilation problem straight off the bat. It means there's no problem with the flue because it's not to be working under its own conditions, perfectly no problem. You introduce this room, and let's face it, in Ireland with the builders that we have over here, the standard of builders, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that they didn't add any additional ventilation when they were building extensions on. So when you introduce that room, it's pulling air, it's starving this fire of air, and as a result then, you're getting spillage, okay? Now the way you can prove that then, is all you do is open a window or door, and then carry out your spillage test again, and you'll see it being pulled up. You can verify that it's ventilation. Now in the event that that happens, you still have to lock that fire down, okay? You can't leave it on, you know, say, oh, look, once you find a single problem with that, that has to be locked down, because it's always the worst case scenario, lads. You cannot leave yourself open to these things because they will come back to bite you at some point. They always will. As one RTI instructor once hammered into me, they're looking to make an example of someone. Just make sure it's not you. All right. So that would be your spillage test, and you'll be then asked to fill in a form stating what you've done. It doesn't have to be a novel, just bullet points will do you. All right. But that's essentially it. That'll be the end of your spillage test. Okay.